Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're doing something a little different.
Yeah, usually we're juggling stacks of sources, right?
Exactly. But for this one, we're focusing all our energy, really drilling down into just one piece. The lyrics to Alison McLean's song, The Power That Moves Me.
It's short, very cyclical, but incredibly rich.
That's the plan. We want to treat this text almost like a philosophical blueprint, Unpack what's driving things.
The ambition, the cost. It's all in there.
What is this power? What's going on with this relentless making and wanting? We're aiming to pull out the insights hidden in that repetition.
And that concentration, that tight focus, actually makes it quite demanding.
How so?
Well, when a writer uses such brevity, such intense repetition, they're pushing the core ideas right to the forefront. You can't just skim it. Every repeated phrase feels deliberate, like a hammer hitting the same spot, lodging the idea in your mind.
Especially those fade-outs where a line just repeats and repeats.
Exactly. You have to assume that repetition is the point. It's the destination of that particular lyrical journey.
I agree. That structure is key. Okay, so let's unpack this, starting right at the heart of it. The title, the core statement.
Right. The song keeps coming back to, it is the power that moves me.
And it's such a definitive statement, isn't it?
Completely. It's not asking, it's telling. It asserts that movement, that drive, is fundamental to whoever is speaking or being described here.
But what is that power? That's what strikes me. It's never defined.
And that's fascinating, right? The lyrics are careful not to pin it down.
So it tells you the subject is driven, active, not passive, but the source, left wide open.
Could be internal, like pure willpower, motivation, sheer belief.
Or it could be something external pushing them, maybe fate or industry pressure, fame, ambition itself, like a separate force.
That ambiguity is crucial. If it just said, my will moves me, it'd be simpler, maybe just an empowerment anthem.
But the power that leaves room for a darker read, doesn't it?
It does. Like the subject is almost possessed by this force, something they recognize but maybe don't fully control.
And structurally, you mentioned the repetition.
Yeah, the line often pops up after an instrumental break. It acts like a recurring thesis, almost like the fundamental law governing this person's world. It always comes back to that.
Okay, so if that core power is ambiguous, how does it translate into action? Because the song definitely shifts into something very active, very rhythmic.
Ah, you mean the you made it, you want it part.
Yes. That's where it gets really intense for me. The sheer volume of that repetition, it feels like the engine of the whole piece.
It's almost hypnotic.
It is. It's not just mentioned, it's chanted. Like 4 times in a row, multiple times in a verse, and then all through the fade out. That's more than just lyrics. It feels like a psychological state.
Absolutely. It sets up this incredibly tight feedback loop. You have these two distinct actions, both aimed right at you, the subject, or maybe the listener.
Made it. So achievement, creation, success, maybe even taking responsibility for something.
And then immediately want it. That raw, continuous desire, ambition, possession, wanting more. And the key is how close they are, how they're welded together in that repetition.
Implying that success and desire aren't really separate steps.
Exactly. They seem fused. The moment you achieve, the moment you made it, the desire instantly resets or even gets stronger. You want it. It's the very definition of restless ambition.
So what's driving what? Does the wanting fuel the effort to make it? Or does achieving something, making it, spark the desire for more or the desire to possess it?
And the lyrics don't resolve that tension, do they? Which makes the loop feel even more powerful, more inescapable.
And sometimes there's that little echo, you made it, made it.
Right, that slight internal repetition. It almost feels like it's emphasizing the weight of the achievement, forcing a moment of recognition. Yes, this is what you did.
But even that recognition doesn't stop the cycle.
No, it just highlights how powerful the cycle is. You acknowledge the making and immediately pivot back to the wanting.
And the focus is always on you. It puts everything squarely on the individual.
The burden of making it, the drive of wanting it, the triumph. It's all yours. This isn't someone pushed around by fate. It's someone actively creating and desiring, a very self-directed kind of power.
Okay, but hold on. If there's this immense agency, you made it, you want it, you're moved by this power, how does that square with the next big emotional turn?
The counterbalance.
Yeah, this sudden, sharp, almost painful line. The tears will come no matter the outcome. It feels like a shock after all that agency.
This is where the song gets really complex, I think. It introduces certainty,
Hmm.
but in an unexpected place, the emotional cost.
It's absolute. Tears are guaranteed. Whether you succeed or fail, whether you get what you wanted or not, no matter the outcome.
Which is fascinating, isn't it?
Hmm.
It suggests the outcome itself, the success or failure, isn't what determines the emotional toll.
What does?
It seems tied back to the drive itself, that relentless power that moves me. The tears are the price of admission, the cost of operating at that level of intensity, of being caught in that made-it-want-it loop.
So the power that drives the creation is also the source of the vulnerability.
It seems intrinsically linked. The ambition comes with this guaranteed emotional consequence.
So it's not failure that causes the tears necessarily, it's the commitment. The depth of the drive itself is inherently costly, maybe even damaging.
That seems to be the implication. It's a profound vulnerability tied directly to the source of strength.
But does that undermine the agency we just talked about? If tears are inevitable, are they really in control, or are they prisoners to this emotional tax?
Well, that's the paradox, isn't it? The agency is in the action, choosing to make, choosing to want, but the consequence, the tears, seems unavoidable, passive.
Like you choose the path, but you don't choose the terrain.
Something like that. Once you commit to being moved by that power, you perhaps forfeit control over the emotional fallout. The power moves, the tears follow. Where the power leads doesn't change the fact that tears will come.
Wow. I initially just heard that as, poetic contrast, but framing it as the fixed cost of ambition, that's much darker.
It suggests a kind of zero-sum game at that level of drive. The emotional toll isn't dependent on results, it's just part of the process.
And this relentless, costly drive, it doesn't even seem aimed at a final goal, does it? Which brings us to that later section.
Right, the ambition evolves, or maybe its true nature is revealed. It's not just about success. The power moves the subject.
To take us beyond the moments that are iconic.
Exactly. So the real goal isn't reaching the iconic moment. It's moving past it.
Success isn't a destination, it's just a waypoint.
Precisely. The power demands constant surpassing of achievements. That iconic moment you work so hard for, it becomes the new baseline you have to exceed. Ambition in this model is never satisfied by any fixed goal.
You make the thing, hit the big time, have that iconic moment, and the power immediately says, okay, what's next? Go beyond that.
Perpetual motion demanded by the power itself. The achievement is almost instantly rendered. Not meaningless, but insufficient.
And right after that realization, the lyrics give us that moment of self-awareness.
The meta-commentary. It is all a little crazy and ironic.
The subject kind of steps back and looks at the whole mechanism.
Yeah, a brief moment of observation. Why crazy?
Yeah.
Maybe because it's an endless, exhausting cycle with a guaranteed emotional cost.
And the irony.
Perhaps the irony is that the very power and drive needed to achieve these huge, iconic things is the same force that makes those achievements feel inadequate the moment they're reached.
So the ultimate expression of this power is the inability to ever feel satisfied.
It seems that way. A kind of cyclical, maybe even tortured existence where desire consumes its own victories to fuel the next push.
That really ties it all together. You start with this ambiguous power, it fuels this demanding loop of making and wanting, which has an unavoidable emotional cost, the tears. And ultimately, the goal isn't even satisfaction, but constantly moving beyond what you've just done, with a side of self-aware irony about how crazy it all is.
It paints this picture of intense personal agency, but it's agency locked into a system with profound, unavoidable vulnerability. You're responsible for the making and the wanting, but also subject to the tears, driven by a force that just won't stop.
So, to wrap up for you listening, the key takeaways seem to be that intense focus on personal agency, you made it, the guaranteed emotional cost regardless of outcome, the tears will come, and this ultimate ambition to always push beyond the iconic.
And maybe the core idea is that the power isn't really in the outcome, the success or failure. The real power, the thing being examined, is the force of desire itself. Unstoppable, complex, creative, and very, very costly. It builds you up and makes you weep all at once.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you to chew on. If the power that moves you constantly pushes you beyond every achievement, and that process guarantees an emotional toll regardless, is the real success in this song simply the endurance to keep going on that journey forever? Something to think about until our next deep dive.